Hello and welcome to our 5th tips and tricks video to accompany our newsletter. Generally, when you are working in iBase and you create a new record or view an existing record, the order of the fields is the order of them in iBase Designer. As an example, I'm in iBase now. I'm going to go and find a person, and when I show their result as a record, I have, for example, first name, middle name, last name, maiden name. Now it could be, for the purpose of my organisation, it would be better if I had last name, first name, middle name, etc. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and open up the database in iBase Designer. Okay, so to reorder the fields, I go to the relevant entity type or link type in Explorer. So here I'm doing person, and then I can right mouse click on any of the fields, choose Reorder Fields, and then pick the ones I'd like to move and move them up and down. Okay, now if I go and close this in iBase Designer, open up in iBase, I'll go and find the same record. And now we've got last name, first name, etc. So if that suits my needs better, I've achieved that. Now, the other thing to note is you may be using data sheets. So if I right mouse click on Vidal Picard, I can choose to show his record using some data sheets. Now these are set up by the designer, so you may or may not have them. And if I choose a data sheet, this also allows me to specify the order of the fields I'd like. This is done using the Datasheet Manager. So to change these ones, the designer uses Datasheet Manager, which again is a function in iBase Designer. Okay, now we're going to look at our second tip and trick, which will be Analyst Notebook background items. So you can see on the chart we have the word draft very lightly in the background. And what we want to be able to do is to be able to add that to our chart and then make sure all the actual entities and links sit on top of it. That's a background item. We have another one here where we've got some IP address traffic, and we wanted to place those IP addresses on a picture of a map of the world just to give us a better presentation chart to help get across the idea where these addresses are believed to be. Let's go ahead then and see how we can put on pictures as background items, where we can then move on top of the picture the entities and links we want for our presentation or briefing chart. So here we have the original chart, and I would like to add the draft image to it. And the first thing we need to do is to add an entity using the icon representation. So I'm going to just go and pick an appropriate entity type, in this case document. I'm then going to right click, edit item properties, and go to picture. I can now browse to the picture, which I've saved of course. There it is, called draft. Click open, click OK. Now, of course it's too small, so notice at the moment that I can resize the image by dragging the edges. And I'm going to say for the moment, let's put it there. So let's say I believe that's the image I want. With it selected, I go to the Arrange tab, and then over here on the right, I choose Center Background, Center Background. And as you can see now, all the other entities and links are sitting on top and visible. Now, as far as the Analyst Notebook is concerned, this actually is part of the piece of the paper in the background of the chart, so I can't interact with it normally. And what I've realised is here, that label that said document 3 or whatever, actually I shouldn't have shown that. I'd like to hide it. But I can't, because as far as the software is concerned, I am clicking on the chart. So what I do is I go to center background, foreground all, and now I can change how this entity behaves. I'm going to use the style menu. I'm going to go to display, and I'm going to turn off the label. Okay, now I'm happy with that, so I'm now going to go back to arrange. I'm going to go over to center background and center background. Now we're going to look at an iBase tip and trick called expand with settings. One of the most common things we hear from people is that they love working with iBase and charting to Analyst Notebook, but they often end up getting far too many things on the chart that it becomes unmanageable. If you use expand with settings, it's a simple way of controlling how much information gets put on the chart and you don't get overwhelmed. In particular, it allows you to choose the entity types and the link types you would like instead of just having everything. So let's assume you've already charted something from iBase to Analyst Notebook. In this example, a person called Vidal Picard. Now, to work most successfully between the two products, it's helpful to have the Data Sources pane appear on the right-hand side, which it may already be doing for you once you've charted. But if it's not, in version 9, you simply go to the Home tab, choose Connect, Data Sources pane, and there it is. Then on the chart, you can choose the things you would like to expand. And then over on this right-hand side, you go to the Selection tab. You choose Expand with Settings, and this brings up an option where you can decide which entity types you would like it to put on the chart and which link types. I'd like to see Vidal Picard and any locations he is linked to, so I'm going to turn everything off using this button here, choose location, but I would also like to see any people he's connected to. Now that's enough for what I need, but I could also, if I wanted to, refine based on the link types either as well or instead. Click OK, and then on the chart I get the locations he's linked to, if any, the people he's linked to, if any, rather than all the other information which might be in the database, which could be overwhelming. Now there may be particular entity types and link types you don't normally want charted. So for example, you may be storing documents, and that's often stored as an entity. So if Vidal Picard, for example, was linked to 100 documents, by now I'd have 100 documents on the chart. To save you accidentally charting those too often, you can talk to your iBase designer and they can stop certain entity types or link types being expanded as a default. It doesn't mean you can't expand them, it just means as the norm they won't appear. If your designer doesn't know how to do that, by all means get them to get in touch with us at Shortest Path Training. We hope you found this video useful. If you'd like to receive more information regarding our newsletter, training or any other requests, please get in contact with us. Thank you.